I spent the last 5 years testing out every single budget and beginner camera, and Sony has the best ones. Because instead of just focusing on specs, they also make multiple versions of a camera for different types of shooters, which means you get a camera that's perfect for your style. And it's more affordable because there's nothing you don't need. And older pro cameras are now the same price as budget models, making a pro Sony camera actually attainable. And if you want to get the best pricing on every camera we talk about, I'll leave links down below along with chapters. Now, if you're a baller on a budget and you mainly do photos with a little bit of video, the Sony A6100 is your best option. And I'll also give you recommendations for cameras that are slightly better with features that the A6100 is missing. It has a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor, and this sensor delivers very high quality, sharp and detailed images. And it's also quite good in low light as well for both photos and video. For photos, it shoots 11 frames per second, which is as fast as even the more expensive cameras, and this will be good enough for any kind of movement, sports, wildlife, and fashion. And the autofocus is spectacular, with automatic tracking for humans and animals. For video, it's a little bit more basic. It shoots 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second, which is great in terms of image quality, and it's a great fit for travel shooters, lifestyle videos, and someone who does sit-down talking head videos like this. One feature I love in the A6100 is that it can shoot slow motion in full HD resolution at 60 FPS for 2x slow motion and 120 FPS for 5x slow motion. However, the A6100 is missing digital stabilization, and you do need to have stabilization built into your lens. So if you're vlogging or doing handheld video, your results might be a bit shaky. And it doesn't have proper cinema profiles for color grading. But if you do want digital stabilization or cinema profiles, I have a camera for you coming up. In terms of design, the A6100 is a very normal camera, but the highlight is how small and compact it is, and it's a very travel-friendly and light camera. It is, however, made of plastic, but it's a very tough plastic. Plus, it has a built-in flash, which is a huge plus. The A6100 also has a tilt screen that flips up so you can see yourself while shooting. However, if you put a mic on this camera, it will block the screen, so it's not ideal. For beginner shooters who mainly do photos with a little bit of video on the side, the A6100 is easily the best option if you're on a smaller budget. But if you do need better stabilization for vlogs and movement, or cinema profiles for color grading, there's actually two cameras you should check out. The first one is the A6400. It has the same specs and design as the A6100, but it does have a much tougher magnesium alloy body. The main benefit is that the A6400 has cinema profiles like S-Log. Or you can also check out the A6600, which is again the same camera, but it is missing a flash. However, this camera has cinema profiles and also physical in-body stabilization, which is great for handheld video. However, if you're looking to mainly do video, there are better options available. So let's talk about video next. Because when it comes to video, it's not just about the right specs for video, but also the right design. So the first camera I want to talk about is the Sony ZV-E10, arguably the most popular video camera for anyone on a budget. And I'll also give you recommendations for cameras that have features that the ZV-E10 is missing. The ZV-E10 has an ideal design for video shooters. However, it does get rid of the flash and viewfinder for a slightly smaller design. It does have a built-in 3-capsule microphone for better in-camera audio, but I still recommend using a wireless mic or shotgun mic for the best results. And you can also plug a Sony microphone directly through the flash port for a digital connection. The ZV-E10 also has a headphone jack so you can listen to your audio while recording. The button layout on the ZV-E10 is ultra minimal but perfect for video shooters. It has a single button to swap between photo, video, and slow motion, plus a single button to add more background blur to your video, plus a zoom rocker to zoom your lens in and out. But most importantly, it has a side articulating screen, which is much better for video because it won't be blocked by a microphone, and you can also see yourself while recording. Now, when it comes to specs, it's almost the exact same camera as the A6400, but it does have a few improvements for video shooters. Now, in case you skipped ahead because you hate me, it has a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor that's also very good in low light for both photos and video. Plus, it shoots the same 11 frames per second for photos, so shooting action isn't a problem. But it does have significantly better autofocus than the A6000 series, and that autofocus was already really good. But video is where the ZV-E10 really shines. You can shoot 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second, again, a beautiful, crisp image, and pretty much as good as it gets for this price point. Plus, you can also shoot full HD at 60 and 120 frames per second for slow motion, but the main improvement is the inclusion of digital stabilization, which will give you ultra smooth vlogging shots, and it's much better for handheld movement. Plus, it also has S-Log and cinema profiles to give you the best possible video quality from this sensor. However, it is only 8-bit log video, which might feel a bit outdated depending on how deep you go with your color grading. For beginners, it should be just fine, but once you get into the really deep cinematic techniques for color grading, you will want 10-bit. And don't worry, I do have a 10-bit camera coming up. But for anyone looking to just get started, the ZV-E10 is easily the most affordable video camera out there from any brand. However, if you want to take your video shooting a little bit more seriously as a beginner, without completely wrecking your bank account, you also have the updated ZV-E10 Mark II. It keeps the same body as the ZV-E10 Mark I, but it does make a few key upgrades. And the internals of the ZV-E10 Mark II are completely different. When it comes to design, you get a brand new side articulating screen that is now 100% touch sensitive over menus and autofocus, and it's also brighter and much higher quality. Plus, you get a newer and much easier to use updated Sony menu. Plus, you get vertical shooting menus as well, and a much bigger battery that will easily last you all day, even with heavy usage. And you're gonna need it because the ZV-E10 Mark II is an absolute beast when it comes to specs. It has a brand new 26 megapixel APS-C size sensor, which is actually the same sensor from the Sony FX30 cinema camera. So you get the same amazing quality, but for half the price with the ZV-E10 Mark II. And the sensor is even better in low light. You can easily shoot as high as 6400 ISO without any issue. So nighttime vlogging or cinematic shoots with low-powered small lights is not an issue. Plus, it has Sony's newest autofocusing system with AI-based subject detect for animal, people, planes, cars, and much more. The ZV-E10 II also shoots 11 frames per second, which is fast enough for any kind of movement. However, it's electronic shutter only, so you can run into issues with rolling shutter if you're whipping the camera around a lot, and you also need to use a very specific kind of flash with it. But the ZV-E10 II is more than good enough for slower, more deliberate shooting, and movement won't be an issue if the subject's coming directly at the camera and you're not moving left to right. Now, when it comes to video, the ZV-E10 II will absolutely blow your mind because it can do 4K at 24, 30, all the way to 60 frames per second for 2x slow motion, and this is actually the cheapest camera that can get you 4K 60 without some sort of crop or compromise. Plus, it also got a free update that lets you shoot 4K up to 120 frames per second in a crop mode. And the ZV-E10 II also has significantly better digital stabilization, so it's great for vlogging, movement, and also reduces rolling shutter. But digital stabilization can crop into your sensor, so some of you guys might want an actual body with physical stabilization, and if that sounds like you, I have something for you guys later in this video. Now, the best part about the ZV-E10 II, and the main reason to get it, is the ability to shoot S-Log 3 with 10-bit color, and this is the most affordable way to get these specs in your camera. This will allow you to color grade your videos like a professional and get much better results. But if you don't know how to color grade, you can also use cinematic vlog mode. It puts a cinematic aspect ratio on your video and lets you add an in-camera cinema look or use your own LUTs, and it literally gives you a cinema look in 5 seconds. The ZV-E10 II is literally perfect for a beginner video shooter because it's an actual cinema camera, but in a more affordable, beginner-friendly body. The only thing it's missing is physical in-body stabilization. And if you're a hybrid shooter that wants a balance of photo and video design for your camera, the next camera is probably perfect for you, and that's the Sony A6700. The A6700 is one of the most popular cameras in the world because it literally does everything with no compromises. It has the same specs for photo and video as the ZV-E10 II, but if you skipped ahead, please rewind the video because I don't want to repeat myself for like the 3rd time. And the body and design of the A6700 is ideal for photo shooters. It has a robust button layout that's fully customizable with a traditional mode dial, and it also has a really nice grip, along with a built-in EVF for photos. If you're looking for a beginner hybrid camera from Sony, the A6700 is my top choice. Now, a lot of you guys might want a proper pro camera, but as a beginner, you just can't get one. I've been there, I know the feeling. But Sony cameras have always been class leading when they've come out. And even though it's been a while, they're still just as good as modern cameras, unlike other brands where once their cameras get old, it's basically garbage. But there's actually two Sony cameras that cost about the same price as a budget camera, if not a little bit less, and that is the Sony A7C and the Sony A7 III. The two cameras are basically identical, but in different bodies, and I will explain what the difference is down the line. And I also own an A7C. It's such a good camera, I'm never gonna sell it. So I speak from a place of love and experience. And these are also the only cameras on this list that have an actual 24 megapixel full frame sensor, which is about 2.6 times bigger than your traditional APS-C sensor. And this allows for a more professional and cinematic look to your portraits and landscapes. And larger full frame sensors also give you better low light performance, and the A7C is still just as good as most modern cameras. When it comes to photos, both cameras shoot at 10 frames per second, but what's going to blow your mind is that they can also shoot over 100 raw photos in a row or over 200 JPEGs in a row without needing a break. This is fantastic for any kind of serious action and sports shooting. And the autofocus was absolutely best in class when these cameras came out. And funny enough, they're still really good, and you're not really gonna feel like you're using an older autofocusing system. And it still works really well even for moving subject matter. When it comes to video, it's a little outdated. It shoots 4K at 24 and 30 frames per second. Sadly, no 4K 60, but it does do full HD up to 120 frames per second. And when it comes to cinema profiles, it does shoot S-Log2 and S-Log3, but only in 8-bit color. Sadly, there is no 10-bit. But you can produce great results if you know how to color grade. However, I wouldn't recommend the A7C or A7 III for video over a modern ZV-E10 II or A6700 or FX30 unless you really know how to properly color grade and get the most out of the footage. Both cameras are definitely ones that I recommend for mainly photo shooters. Now let's talk about the differences between the A7C and A7 III and figure out which one is right for you. The A7C actually has a very similar compact body like the A6700, and it's really not that much bigger than a traditional APS-C camera. And the A7C also has a side articulating screen, which is better for video and seeing yourself, but the A7 III has your traditional tilt screen, which is better for photography. And the A7C has a single card slot, but the A7 III has dual card slots. And the A7C, because it's cheaper, does have fewer buttons, but they're good enough for most beginners. And the A7 III has a more robust, professional button layout that's fully customizable. And both cameras also have an EVF for photography, but the A7 III viewfinder is much higher quality. You can get both cameras for about the same price as the newest budget Sony cameras, so if you can get your hands on either one, I highly recommend it, and I'll leave pricing down below so you can make sure you get the best pricing possible, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.